That was really great advice. I wish now I would like starting and then just now hearing these things. What would you say is your best advice or tips that you would give someone in university or someone entering into university?
There was someone who actually sit me down and said, look, don't get sucked up by the change of environment. Don't be
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed by it, but at the same time, don't lose yourself,
Yes,
because
yes.
you get into university, you come from high school where there's there's structure and there's guidance, and it's period one. After period
Yes,
one, it's period two, and then
yes.
it's break and back at it, and then it's off to school and you're done, and you've got homework, and you come and you submit, you've got your test and it's done. And university, there's structure, but there's way more freedom. And what can happen in university is that you get sucked up by this freedom, right? What happens is that, and I'll just give a personal experience. I remember my first year, I remember one day remembering, I think 10 minutes into a lecture, sitting on the grass, sipping on some slush puppies, and, living my best life, remembering that I actually have a lecture, right? Because it's so nice, you don't have bells. In high school, the bell rings and you know that it's time for the next period. In varsity, there's none of that. You check your watch, you check your phone, you check the time, you know that you've got a lecture. No lecturer is gonna say, Kevin, why didn't you come to class? Masego, where were you? I see you went to my class, it's just, it's up to you whether you want to go, whether you don't want to, and whether you go or not, in as much as it's up to you, will affect you. Do you understand? So, I mean, sometimes, I know there's some days where you decide, you know what, I'm not going to go for a lecture because I know that I would gain more if I was to go to the library and actually push a particular something. You're able to make those decisions for yourself, but it's something that you need to have experience in doing.
Get in there and know what you're doing. Like if you're doing it, do it. Don't wait for people to tell you that no, do this. This is not right. Maybe go this route. If you know what you're doing, do it and don't get distracted. I think having the right people around you really does have an effect on that. And in terms of them motivating you and you feeling, you know, encouraged when you're around them and not feeling like always have to fight, although they're there for you.
No, that's true. Like university is just a different ball game, like, and going in, I think you just need to be open to um the fact that not everything is gonna go as planned, because like you said, you get your first test going in from high school into university, you think, I'm getting this, like, because you know what you've wanted to study like for a long time or however long, or even if you don't know, but you got these good marks that allowed you to get in to a certain course, and you're just like, yeah, I've got this. Like, I feel like have that confidence, it's good, but then do not be too, what is it, rigid? Yeah, too overconfident. You need to prepare yourself for things to just go very different. Obviously you do things as you do, but then, be prepared for the fact that you are in university now. It's different, it's very challenging, and it's for a reason. It's university for a reason, otherwise it would just be like grade 13, right? It's not grade 13, it's university for a reason. Yeah, so just prepare yourself and know that it's okay, when things don't go your way, but just know that when you work hard and you are determined, you will really come through. Yeah, yeah. Just don't be discouraged is what I'm saying. Like, don't compare yourself too much with who you used to be, because now you are evolving into someone different, and it requires certain skills from you, a certain mindset, so try to change and don't like try to adapt. Yes, I think that's it's a good word. Try to adapt with, you know, the circumstances. Don't let a bad test get you down, you know. Don't let a lecture get you down. Don't let um you know, people who are getting distinctions get you down, because it's like you look at them and you're like, what am I doing wrong? You see, Kevin mentioned that there's just different types of people, you know, and we all learn differently. And with each module, because we have like different modules, some of them they seem very useless, and then some of them they tap into a learning technique that you haven't really learned, you know. So you came in like, that's what he was saying, that, you know, you come in from high school, and, you know, you learn a certain way, you know, and then so your mind is so used to learning a certain way with like structure like that, and it's like by the book, you know, this and that. And then now you get into university and everything, it is a different technique, and even within the different modules you're expected to adjust to the different techniques that are required from you. So, you know, it's just about learning the technique. Don't be too hard on yourself.
Definitely time management. I remember one of our lecturers set up it was like a time management session with us. So, oh my goodness, it taught us a lot. And it goes to show that, you know, whatever you spend your time on is the most important, and consider that when you're making your priorities in university, because that's when, you know, that's you checking your list of life. So kind of really manage your time, because time moves. 24 hours is not that long.
For someone going into university, it's so easy, especially if you come from an environment that doesn't teach you how to, first of all, manage your time. That's the one thing that we always ask ourselves: why do kids that go to private schools and things like that have to pay exorbitant amounts and whatever? But, you know, they teach them things such as time management. They teach them things such as proper planning and whatever, you know, other things outside of what you're taught for school. And even in normal public schools, you are taught that, but it's very surface based learning or something like that. It's not embedded. It's not, you know, it's not properly enforced, you know. Yes, there's periods and all of that. From that, you know, from a public school, you're supposed to learn that, okay, there's time for class, there's time for a little bit of a break, there's time for you to study and whatever, but it's not properly enforced, you know. So those are things that you need to do. So for someone going into university, I think personally the first thing that you need to get right is your time management, more than any time management, making sure that, look, you know, you've got your time for your studies and you've got your time for school. And one of the lecturers, or was it one of our, I think it was the deputy dean, right? I remember him saying something along the lines of, take your going to school or varsity as a 9 to 5 job, right? So it just also depends on your course and what you're studying and whatever. But what you can do is that you say, okay, no, cool. If you say you're gonna go to your lectures during your free time, let that free time, maybe you can say maybe whatever, depending on, also because the schedule is just mixed up for different courses and whatever. But have your time that is set out for your lectures. You've got your lectures, and then you've got your time that is set up for lunch, your break where you sit. Let that not be 6 hours in the day. Do you understand? Let it be an hour. It is your break. You're coming down, you're reading if you're into reading, you're chatting to friends if you're into chatting to your friends, right? But be strict with yourself and say, this is my free time, and let it be a free time. Not, I'm going to quickly finish this homework. Let it be a free time. Do it. And then the rest of the time, if you don't have a lecture, if you do not have homework or whatever to do, study. You understand? You need to study, right? Then another thing that is very important, and people don't understand this, but is that you need to rest, right? Your brain can't constantly be working, because what happens is that you become fatigued. Then you build up your fatigue so much so that you find yourself being in a space where you're so tired that you're constantly studying. And why you're constantly studying is because you never have enough time. And why don't you have enough time? Is because you haven't rested. You haven't allowed your brain to be able to take in what you've learned for the day. You haven't allowed your brain to take in what you've done for the day and actually process it and box it up so nicely in your brain that when you need it, you're able to use it. So then you find yourself being so fatigued that you have to study something 78 times before it actually goes in. And it's just, so yes, time management, being strict with yourself, right? It's so important to be strict with yourself in university because, like I said, there's so much to do. There's so many things to do, academic and non-academic, do you understand? There's so much life to live. You want to go out, you want to meet up with friends, you want to talk. And the thing is, and I really appreciate the friends that I made in university, and those are lifelong friends that I will cherish forever. And I've had the best times with them in my life, right? And I believe that I'm going to continue to have many more great memories with them, right? And don't forget to do that. Don't forget to make that for yourself. Chances are the friends that you make in university are the lifelong friends that you're going to have, right? So it's important to nurture those friendships, but don't get sucked up by them because you can find yourself. And I think this is also one thing that I appreciate about my friends, especially in third year, that we had that thing of, look, guys, now it's time to study, and we would literally stand, and because we know ourselves and how we can go on for hours and in, we would legit, say, look, guys, let's go to the library. And we would not even sit next to one another, And Masego can attest to this, that we sit far from each other because if we're around one another, we can't take away from the fact that we want to talk, we want to love, we want to have a great time. Recognize those friends, recognize those things about you, those aspects about you, and take control of it. It's so important to, because no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to be like, hey, you have to study. No one is going to say anything of such nature. So yes, time management, make good relationships, good friends, nurture them, but be strict with yourself as well. I don't know if that can be like number 3. Be strict with yourself, with what you do, who you keep around you. It's also so easy to have the wrong crowd around you in university. Remember that you've got people from all over the country, in fact, all over the world, because people come in from other countries, right? So you've got different people around you with different values, different ethics, different things. So if you keep the wrong people around you, you can get caught up in the wrong things that could land you up in either trouble or just bring you problems that are unnecessary, avoidable problems. So
But the surroundings that you keep, like keep people that you'll grow with. That's where you form your relationships, long-time friendships, long-time relationships, business people, because there's so many different people in university.
You don't realize that when you're in university, you literally have people from all parts of the country, all parts of the world, just everywhere. And they all come in with whatever set of talent and skill. And we're all just in one area. And you don't realize that at the time. You only realize it afterwards that, oh, damn, I could have made friends with whoever and networked. Because now I need connections with this, and that. I need to be busy with this, and that. Yes.
Use it. Use those opportunities. You see those people, you see that, this is doing this girl's doing that. Use it. Use that opportunity. Take it. That's where you see all the people that you could ever see in your life. Like, yeah.
And just business ventures, anything going forward. There's just too much to do in the world, and you have people, so utilize them.
For me, I wish someone could have sat me down and said, look, university it's this big place where no one is going to be behind you all the time to tell you to do something. to tell you to whatever, and it's up to you to be that strict with yourself. And you need to be strict with yourself. You need to be focused. You need to remember why you're there in the first place, right? You're not there for relationships. You're not there to go get married. You're not there to go make babies or anything of such nature. I can understand. You're there to go study, and that should be your first priority. You're there to go study. You're there to go get a qualification, right? That becomes your first priority. Focus on that. And I'm speaking from experience because I know now what not to do.
You actually do find people who you get into first year and then you get all excited, hore, oh, like these boys are interested in me. Guys, there's actually seniors who prey on first years. Like their duty is to just get first years, because first years I don't want to say about papa, but it's like you're too excited, you know? And before you get into stuff, you really need to relax, you know? Understand the environment, understand the place, the people, before you just get there. And then you know, it's very different, I feel, you know, a first year with a first year. I feel like because you guys are like on the same level versus someone who is a third year and they're just waiting for first years, you know, come January, February, they're there, we're the first years, you know. So you need to be on the lookout for, you know, seniors.
The funny thing is, you find that, so basically first years go back, they first have, I think, orientation week, and then they've got their first week of lectures, right? And there aren't really supposed to be any seniors at that time because seniors will only come back in like Feb, right? But you'll find seniors there, like, and you're just like, what are you guys doing here? You should be home. Like, people will go back to res. People are, and you're just asking yourself, guys, we're still on recess, you know? Let the kids have the university to themselves, get well acquainted with the place before little start school. And it's just, it's, no. So shame, they prey on Christians. And
just be careful with that, you know. I mean, just because somebody is paying attention to you doesn't mean you have to pay attention to them. You know, they're just wasting your time. You know, you need to graduate. You're not here for all these unnecessary things. If you do find someone, then that's great, but don't let it be the main aim, you know, getting into university. Yeah. Understand the environment.
don't allow anyone to also just fill your mind with things like, oh no, this module is difficult, this lecturer is difficult, this and that, whatever. It's such negative energy that contributes to your performance in certain modules and things like that. Go in there, tell yourself, I'm here to study, I'm capable. The fact that you made it there means you're able to make it out, right? Because that's a difficult thing to do, to make it out. So tell yourself that you're there, you're able to, you'll be able to, you'll manage, you do it, and do what needs to be done. Do your homework, practice if you're studying something practical, practice if you're studying something theoretical, study, you know, make notes, and look, it's going to be an amazing experience. And you know, if you do that and if you manage your time properly, you'll find that there's so many hours in the day to go have fun, to go out with your friends, to go watch movies, to go. You need to have an amazing time in university as well because you'll never get that chance again. Like, this is the one thing that people don't understand. The moment you start working, you've got 15 days off in a year for what's this of leave. You understand? That's all you've got. The rest of the time you're at work, you know. And university, you've got holidays, you've got public holidays, you've got weekends, you've got life, man. You live the best. So you need to make sure that you can live the best life that you can because you might not get that opportunity.
You reminded me of, you know, a time when I never used to go to tutors and ask for help, even though like I was not getting the right marks, and I'm just like, oh, but then I got this, I know this, and you know what I'm saying. The homework would go right, but then you come to doing tests and exams, and you know it doesn't show. So I think definitely asking around, like don't be afraid to ask around because it's new, it feels new, you're new, you don't know this life, you're getting into it, it's a new life. It's not now where you're getting spoon-fed did you come to class today? Why didn't you come to class? No one is checking you. You know what I'm saying? You have to check yourself and be disciplined.
And the one thing people in university hardly ever do is go for consultation. You need to go for consultation, guys. The way it helps. Consultation will help you, and the more and more you fight, the more willing your lecturers are to help you. You understand? But if you're just gonna chill, then I mean the lecturers they're dealing with so many students, they're not going to single you out and be like, oh shame, let's help you. You understand? They deal with too many. So you need to be the one putting in the effort, and the lecturers will recognize that because they themselves are people, human beings who went through the same experience and understand more often than not what you're going through, and they understand that it's not easy and that there's different things and different factors and forces that come to play. So it's so important for you to go over there and just let them know that, look, I'm struggling or whatever. And if you are struggling, then they will help you, and it will pay off. And just always have the end goal in mind. That I know I said I'm going into University of ABC to go study 123. 123 is what I'm walking out of here with. Do you understand? Tell yourself that, do it, push it.
Definitely asking questions and consulting. You were very right on that. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to be stuck on one thing for like too long. That's actually something that I went through. It's like going for to like a consultation, and sometimes it could just be like an email. But I don't know what it was about, like, wanting help. I thought maybe it was like a bit too soon. If I went through it long enough, I'll finally get it. And I never did. And I'll stick on it and stick on it. And you don't realize that you're wasting, first of all, time. You could be moving on and doing something else and something productive because you've been on here. And second of all, you're demotivating yourself because you are on this thing and it's giving you problems understanding, and you've been on it, sitting on it, and it doesn't make sense, and then you just give up. You're like, maybe I'll come back tomorrow and then maybe I'll get it then. But you're wasting like a whole study session. Just write it down, put it on the side, and continue. And then you ask your lecturers on it by email or via the physical consultation, whatever it is. If no, honestly, do not suffer alone. Sometimes you don't understand when the lecturer, how they explain it. And, you might want to ask again, and then you feel like you're derailing like a whole class. So it's okay, like just put it down, and then during consultation time, you ask. Yeah, but really ask questions. Do not suffer alone in silence. It does not serve you in any way. Your lecturers are there to help you.
You're going to get to university, right? As a fresher, come from high school, and you're this kid who is getting distinctions and all of that. Now, there's two ways it could go. You can go to university and flourish, right? Do very, very well. Or you can go to university and it can be very, very difficult, right? To make it. The one important thing that you need to note is that you being able to make it into university and into that course, whatever course it may be, was not by chance, right? It's not the people that accepted you did not just say, oh, okay, whatever. You understand? You made it. You deserve it. You're able to, right? The one thing that is very important to note about university is that it's not going to be easy for all of us. We're different people, and we are able to grasp things, or we grasp things differently, right? I'm a very practical person, right? And give me something, explain it to me, and I will understand it, and I'll be able to do it if you show me, right? But there's certain ways that some courses expect you to be and to answer questions and to do things, certain structural and technical things that for the real world aren't necessarily going to be important. But look, there's some courses, obviously, I mean, with medicine, for example, we expect you to know the heart, and we expect you to know it as it is. You can't, there's no free spirit about the heart. Do you understand? It's the heart, that's the way it is, and that's the way it works. You understand? So obviously those things but my point, or the point that I want to make, is don't beat yourself up, because this is the one thing that I've seen happen a lot of times. Don't beat yourself up if you're not able to be at the level that you've always been throughout high school, primary, or whatever, right? It's gonna happen. It doesn't mean you're in the wrong course. Neither does it mean you're unable to, or you made a mistake or anything like that. If you really love medicine, for example, you really love engineering, or you really love law, or whatever it may be, you love it and you went there with a reason, right? And go there and just do the right thing is fine. But even in your doing the right thing, if you find the course still being difficult, have that fighter spirit. Do you understand? Be resilient, because it's gonna pay off in the end, right? Go to your lecturers, get help, do whatever you need to do, because that is going to be very important. Don't be caught up. And you know what? Sometimes this happens. Sometimes you love something so much, right? But really, it's maybe not for you, right? Be open. I'm not saying give up. I'm saying be open to exploring your options, because there's no one way to get to something. You understand? Always be open. I've seen people who would leave medicine, go to engineering, leaves engineering, comes to accounting science and flourishes, right? Because the others weren't working out. Because maybe an uncle said, look, you know, you're so technical, you do so well in engineering, you get there and you hate it, right? If you hate something, honestly, and you feel it that you hate it. And this is how you'll know. If you feel that I'm not passing this, I don't like it, I hate every moment of it, then it's not for you, right? But if you love something yet you're struggling with it, it still is for you. Continue with it, push it, and make sure you are able to get out. And don't beat yourself up. It's okay not to get a 90%, a 70%, a 60%. As long as you pass, it's very important to do that. And, you know, as long as you pass, and even if you don't pass, it's not the end of the world. You know, there's opportunity, you know, and it happens not to everyone, but it happens that you need to either repeat a module or repeat a year or whatever. It's not the end of the world. And this is one thing that as young people we don't talk enough about, is that we give ourselves these crazy timelines to try and finish something. And I'm 19 now. I need to be done with my degree by 21. By 25, I must have my master's or be working on my doctorate. You don't, like, why? For what? For who? Do you understand? It's not important and it's not necessary. You've got your whole life ahead of you. There's no cutoff point where they're like, yeah, we stop taking people for masters at the age of 25. There's no such thing. Do you understand? You can do your masters at 30 if it took you that long to get to your masters. You know, things like that. So people need to understand that. And I wish someone had told me that you don't have to have your first house at 22, you know, but you just have this thing that, no, to be done with varsity, you need to buy a house at the age of 20, whatever, and have a car and these and that. You don't need to. Those are all wants and desires that you have for your life, and it's okay to have them because they push you. But don't beat yourself up when you don't reach those milestones at the desired time. You know, it will come. And when it does, you're going to be so grateful because you didn't give up. The one thing you must never do in university is give up.
Dude, that is so true. Like, wow. And the thing is, you have the rest of your life. Like, think about it, ne? So if you failed a year, let's just say you failed a year, and then you're beating yourself up for a year, right? And then you give up. That's just a year, by the way. And then you do something completely from what you actually want, you know, and actually enjoy for the rest of your life. So how does that make sense? You know, sacrificing a year of fail for a lifetime of regret and being like, oh, what if, you know? Like, it doesn't make sense. So just like stick it through, you know, it could 1 year, 2 years, whatever, you know, but at the end of the day, whatever decision that you make, you need to be happy with it. You know, you need to wake up in the morning and know that you are okay, you know? I mean, obviously there's gonna be stress in everything, but something that really like is not okay to your mental health, like at all, you know, it makes you think of like very, very, very negative thoughts, you know, and you don't even want to wake up in the morning, you know, you don't want to do anything anymore. You know, I feel like that's how you said, Kevin, you know, when something is really, it's okay, you know, to adjust your plans, but, you know, stick it through, you know, when try your best, right? And not just give up at the first sign of failure or disappointment or whatever it is, you see. Yeah, so no, very true, very true. I actually, yeah, I agree on that completely. I want to say like taking up opportunities that, you know, universities offer. So there's a lot of stuff that happens that you can be involved in. That's if you want to be involved. I was involved in what's this, the what's the center
Was it
center of
Star?
AIDS and gender.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, I loved it. Oh, I loved it so much, Kevin. Wow. So good thing I started it in first year. So I think like the best time to start a lot of stuff is like in first year, because by then, you know, like as much as when you get into first year, you're like, whew, yeah, no, the pace here is different, hey. But it's actually it gets worse, you know. So I feel like in first year, don't take up too much than you can chew. The aim is to pass. I mean, you're there to complete your degree after all. But you know, you look up into like some stuff that you might be interested in. I wanted to, but then I didn't, you know, be a part of the newspaper committee. um I would actually want to do that. Yeah, like being, I don't know, whatever that it is, by either like being a photographer or like writing articles, you know, or whatever that it is. But I just wanted to be behind the newspaper production and understand exactly what that entails. Because I've always found it very interesting, but I was just like, I don't know. I feel like you think you have time when you're in a university and you're just like, oh, even if it's not time, but opportunities are just there. And you're just like, you know, anytime I can just take it up, you know? And you don't take it up when you're supposed to be taking it up because you feel like anytime I could just come back, you know? And then you end up finishing and then it's like, that one. Yeah, so definitely taking up on, you know, whatever, there's radio. If you're interested in doing radio, you know, you can do that. It's just a lot, you know. And just touching on like different stuff, you end up finding something that you might be really good at or something that you might be passionate about but you don't even know, you know. Like, I mean, I can imagine, you know, talking, being like, maybe you decide on like starting a podcast and then you have like this radio background, you know. I don't know, it's just nice having stuff that you just know.
So many different things to do, arts and singing and and I think if I had another choice, I would definitely go ahead and do other extramurals like I used to do in high school. um, I would see my cousin in university and she's doing her drama and whatever, and I'm just like, ish, you know. So yeah, definitely explore because you're gonna go out of your mind just studying homework, this, that, always, and you kind of need a break sometimes, and it's good to take a break, but also be disciplined.
And also networking, it helps a lot with networking. I think for me, my biggest problem was how like the adjustment with the level of content that we had to cover, especially in financial accounting. So we'd have these standards and we'd move through topic by topic, standard by standard so quickly. And I'm still trying to grasp, I'm like, you take one lecture for granted, but you can be behind for days just by missing, you know, the content of just one lecture, you see. So the pace of it, because you'll be there, you'll be always studying, but then it's like you're not getting it because you're too hard on yourself and you're trying to work too hard but not smart. And the thing is, the content just goes by, you know. Tomorrow we're starting something else. maybe you don't know how to like juggle, you know, school, maybe the pressure of it is getting too much. They offer student support. Go there and, you know, it doesn't have to be a big deal. Just go there and sit there, because I think sometimes you're scared like to go someplace, and then because you don't know what to expect, like what are they gonna ask me, you know. Just go there, let them know of whatever concerns that you have. And you know, it might be that you don't know how to manage your time properly. They help you do time management, you know, whatever, studying, how to study, you know, just different techniques that you could use in your studies. And that is very important. You know, I think a lot of people don't really know about student support. And it could just be the fact that you're anxious, you know, you just want someone to talk to, you know, they are there for a reason. They're actually waiting for you to come in and, you know, consult with them. And they are very helpful, actually. Yeah. So it's very nice, like sharing, because sometimes you might find that like you don't want to share with maybe your friends or your family, but you want like someone, I want to say like anonymous, like someone who isn't a related party, you know, and then just having, just letting, offloading, you know, to them, and just having someone, you know, offer advice or just listening. Yeah. So that is very important if you do find yourself needing, especially during exam time. But like, don't let it wait, you know, for the pressure to actually, you know, be so intense. As soon as you recognize that, hey, I think I might be, you know, not be okay in terms of like my university experience, like I'm just not maybe enjoying something, I don't know what to do, just go to them and then talk to them, and then they'll help you out.
Can I just tell you, Jorge, as we were speaking about it, so many memories came back and the nostalgia, and I'm just remembering sitting Gobo in humanities, you know, in a lecture and all of that, you know. It's
It's the
just like
little things, like even with, like when you were like talking, and I'm like, wow, actually, like, ratlhakgole jo, you know?
you
Yeah.
know, just the getting the the fast-paced walks from one lecture hall to the other and all of that, and just to the library.
Especially when you have your lecture at Tudo. Ooh, Tudo is so far, bro. Or the IT labs, not the IT labs, the where we did the AIM labs.
Yeah,
Ooh, it's so
I
far.
remember it was always a job. Like you always had to move. And the thing about it, like, and I think this is also something people must just understand, like going into university, that I think forget about university being a time, especially proper hair, makeup, the best shoes, clothes. Forget about all those things. They don't matter. The thing that matters is you getting your stuff. And you know what? Like, you think people care, no one cares. Like, no one cares. Honestly, get there, looking your crusty self. It's fine. If you've got one jacket that you're gonna wear the whole year, don't stress yourself. Don't go out of your way. Wear that jacket.
Dude,
Live your best life.
I remember remember like some of our lecture halls were like really cold. And then there was a girl who didn't like, I remember like someone who didn't like wear a jacket like in class, even though it was cold, because she's like, I just have one jacket. I don't wanna like keep wearing the same jacket in class. And I'm like, what? So you're gonna sit through the
Mm.
cold? Wear your jacket, girl.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I think look, I can't say. Eventually, I got to a point where it didn't matter anymore. But you know, sometimes you sit and you stress, you, what am I going to do tomorrow? And especially if you're a day student, because you're traveling every day. So for me, like I was concerned about what I need to look like, obviously, because I passed through provinces to get to school. So you need to look decent. Nka sa apare ditlepe-tlepe ka nje borukhu fela ba go kolomaga ko ntlong and some tax shirt or whatever. They understand you are passing through the people. You could meet your soulmate along the way, so you need to make sure you look decent. But honestly, like, if you don't have to go through that, don't stress yourself and worrying about what you're gonna look like. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna put myself through looking fine as hell to come sit in a lecture and not hear anything because you're stressed. Then it was all for nothing. Do you understand? O tlhapile, o nkga monate, o di shapile for o tlo fopha ke test. Do you understand? So um don't stress about that. And then now imagine, fine, you want to get there, you're a first year, you're this cute lady, and you know, you want to come with your nice skirt and your heels, and you have to run from not from Tutor building, but from IT lab to AIM labs. How are you
In
going to do
10
that?
minutes. In 10 minutes. And it's not even 10 minutes because just packing up takes a minute. And walking down the stairs
Exactly.
takes another minute. So you left with 8. Girl, you gotta run.
And then on top of that, because it's packed on campus, you can't really run. So you're basically fast paced walking. And then you get a group of friends who are walking to the cafeteria or something like that, gliding, and you're just like, can I pass?
Having a good time, you know. And the thing is, people like they'd be like a group of friends, and they wouldn't even like walk in front of one another like 2 by 2 like that. They'd want to make a long line like that, and then everybody has to like, excuse me, like guys, come on, bruh, you know.
And the thing about it, like, there's, especially with a place like UP, there's plants and flowers everywhere. And this, I want to like, the only place you've got to walk is the walk path. You understand? So now you here you are wearing your Sunday best. It's impractical, you know. Feel free, get that, like, you can have 2 jeans, get your jeans that you know you're gonna wear, and your shirt. Be easy, you know. It really, you get to a point where it doesn't matter. And I know when I was in first year, I wanted to, and now I look at my first year pics and I'm just like, I can't believe I thought I was it looking like this. But hey, right? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Wear that one jacket every day. Like, my point is, actually once heard, like, very, very smart people, like these geniuses, like your Einsteins and whatever, these geniuses actually say that it's actually quite important for you to, like they don't waste their time stressing about things like clothing, their cars or whatever. So you'll find like a very genius person who has a top job at a big company or whatever, or not even a company, but maybe, but making really a lot of money, driving the oldest looking car, and it still gets him or her from point A to point B, and they don't wear the fanciest clothes they wear. And when you ask them, why don't you wear like Gucci or something like that, and that person will tell you that, like, the time you're wasting stressing about your outfit could be used doing something else. You understand? So you stressing about what you're gonna pay, making means to go buy new clothes. You could be using that time to get things done.
You're worrying about the wrong things. Like, we're trying to be busy, you know, we're trying to achieve stuff. We don't have time for, you
Yeah,
know, things that don't matter at the moment. Like,
exactly.
the goal is not to
Exactly.
run around campus with heels, bruh. Come on. You look
Who are you trying to
beautiful, you're
impress?
gorgeous, but
Yeah,
that's not what we're doing here, you know? Yeah.
time. We're not here for that.
And then also, this is, I would say, like one of like the most important ones, like perusals. Going for perusals. I'll always stress this one, shame. When we got our first exam results, right? That was when I was introduced to like the importance of perusals. So perusals is basically, you know, you get your your exam papers back, and then you go through the memo against what you wrote down. And first of all, you check whether um they added the marks correctly and it adds up the total is correct, or also that maybe they might have not marked something correctly, or maybe omitted it, and it was supposed to be like a mark, right? So I remember in first year in FRK, right? Like the thing is, Kevin, when you know that you ace that exam, ne, and then it comes back, dude, they robbed me 20%. 20%, yes. And so the thing is, good thing I went in for perusals, because I looked at my mark and I'm like, eh, no, this is not it, you see. And then I went into peruse and it was like 20, dude. And the thing is, Kevin, it wasn't just me. Ayanda as well was robbed 20% in the same exam. And it turned out that in the previous years, there were students who got robbed the same module, exactly 20%. So tell me what is that? I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's sabotage, because a lot of the times you find that people, because they release their marks very late, and then you find that people they go home, they've made plans to go back home, and some people live very far. So good thing, Ayanda didn't go back home, until her results came out. I'm at home, you see, so it's very easy for me to come and peruse and stuff. But you find people who have traveled back to whatever province or country, whatever that they come from, and they can't come back just for a perusal, you see. So it was so unfair. And I remember thinking maybe we should voice this one out, but then we didn't even, we just got our marks and we're just like, whoever this person is behind here, I don't know what happened in that exam, period, where people were robbed of me and Ayanda. I mean, the fact that we're friends, we obviously communicate. Like, how do you make it exactly 20%? And why do you even rob people of their marks, And since we're friends, we could be like, hey, 20%, hey, 20%, And then we hear some people from like previous years who did FRK and they were like 20% on the dot. And it wasn't just them, it was other people as well. So yeah, I don't know about that. So perusals, I always tell people, anybody who comes in first year, and I'm like, first of all, point number one, go for perusals. Like, perusals is the thing, because it's so unfair having to study for something for so long and write the exam and do well in it and not be given the marks that you deserve, you see. Because at the end of the day, they make everything about marks, and then now you're taking my marks away from me, you see. Yeah, so perusals are so important. The nice thing about us was that we all, like, how our friendship started was that we all studied accounting, and which was cool, it was great. But then I feel like also um it made us a bit lazy in like going out and making other friends, because we connected so well together